What's up everybody, Teancum here with Sew Yeah Quilting. In today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how you make these International Sisters blocks. Let's get started. As always, let's dive right on into the project. As you can see in front of me, I've already gone ahead and pre-cut most of my fabrics down. Instead of just going through all the sizes, I'm going to just have all the sizes appear on the screen, just like so. And I'm going to show you how you assemble this block. So to start assembling this block, what I like to do is set it up exactly how it's going to look at in the end. That way there's no mistakes. So I'm going to rearrange what I've got here. I'm going to first start off with my big square. Then from there, I'm going to take my 2 1/4 inch square and put it right at the tippy top. Then I'm going to sash it up just like so. My 2 pieces there. This is the top here. So that right there is what the block's gonna look like unsewn. So it's time to sew things together. What I like to start is I want to start with the head first and work my way down. So to do the head, I'm going to take the square piece and our small rectangle. I'm going to put those right sides together and sew a 1/4 inch seam all the way down. In today's video, we're only going to be using 1/4 inch seams all the way through. And I'm going to iron every last one of my seams as I'm sewing. That way we stay super straight, super clean. So. That is my first sewn piece. I'm always going to be putting my blocks back, that way you can see in which direction I'm going. Now I'm going to take the other rectangle piece and put those right sides together and sew my seam. And again, I'm going to be ironing every last one of these to make sure I stay straight and clean there. So as you can see, my top portion is done. Super simple. My next step is I'm going to sew the arms together. So I'm going to take my first arm piece and then my little square, I'm going to lay them right sides together. And I'm going to sew diagonally across from this end here to this end here. And I want to make it as close to perfect as possible. So I'm going to just sew corner to corner. So when I open it, it should look like a little hand there. But sometimes we make mistakes, and I know that, especially when we're dealing with left and right blocks here. As you can see here, it made the hand just how I need it, but for my left side, not my right side. So I'm going to go ahead and flip these around. And there it is for the right side. So I'm going to lay my block down. And for the right side, I need to be sewing from this corner here to this corner here, which I'll do right now. And that's the hardest thing with blocks that have left and right sides, is always keeping those together. But in this case, if you mess up on one, you can just use it for the other side, which is nice. And I'm going to just double check which those are both right. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to iron them flat. Or sorry, I'm going to iron them open so that they're flat. And I'm going to cut off the excess fabric. I'm going to just use a little pair of scissors. Do I have a little pair of scissors? I'm going to use a little pair of scissors to do this. I'm going to stay about 1/4 inch away from the seam. And then I'm going to iron these open. Just like so. Now that we got the hands all taken care of, it's time to attach our little white pieces down at the bottom. Really simple to do. We're going to line them up right sides together and just sew them together. Ironing always to the dark side here. And same thing on the left side. Well, that's my left here. Okay, now that we have the heads and the hands done, it's time to attach our two outer white pieces to the hands. So right sides together on both of these, and we're going to sew those down. Okay, now what our next step is we're going to attach the left side arm to the head here. Now that we have the head and the left arm sewn together, we're going to sew the body and the right arm together. Now that we have our body in our right hand and the left hand and the head sewn, it's time to put them together. What we want to make sure is that right here at this point, that all of our points come together right in the middle. Doesn't matter if there's a little extra on either side or anything like that, because we are going to square these blocks down. So I'm going to just make sure I'm lined up. Use whatever you like to hold it in place. I'm going to use some Wonder Clips here. Wonder clip there, and I'm going to just clip all the way down just to make sure everything stays in place for me. Perfect. Now it's time to square up this block. We're going to want to square this block to be 9.5 by 9.5 square. So what I like to do is I like to take the two edges that seem the squarest, and I like to start with those, squaring those up to make sure we're perfectly square here. I'm going to be using the lines on my ruler to help me square up. As you can see, I've got one straight line here, I've got one straight line seam here. That's what I'm going to use to make sure I'm staying square with the block and make sure I'm pretty much lined up all the way across the board. So now we're going to square up the two sides here. And I'm not squaring this to size, I'm just squaring them, that way I have two sides to base everything off of. So now I know my right side and my top side are completely square. I'm going to turn this around, that way it's easier to work with for me. And I'm going to use the lines on my ruler to square up the rest of it. We're going to be squaring this to 9.5 by 9.5 square. That way, when we want to make other blocks, like you see these negative space blocks here, that is just a 10-inch square cut right down the middle. That would be edge to edge. It makes it really easy to use 10-inch squares for this project. And now we've got a perfectly square 9x9 International Sisters block. I absolutely love these blocks because if we change out the background fabrics or we change out the clothing on the people, it just changes the quilt drastically. I've got one here that's the same colors but in a teal background. As you can see, it does change the overall look of the project. This is a super fun project to make. It's a little bit more difficult than that beginner project, but it's also nice to do something a little bit more challenging just to progress our skills. If you've liked this video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and don't be afraid to share it with your friends. As always, I'm gonna leave instructions on how to make these blocks and this table runner in the description below. My name's Teancum, teach you how to sew like a pro. We'll see you here next week at Sew Yeah Quilting.